Welcome to the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity Podcast. Join Stewart Heath for down-to-earth conversations with top professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders who have a story to tell. Let's get rolling.
Hello, everyone. Stewart Heath here, founder and CEO of Harvard Grace Capital, with another episode of the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity Podcast. We're very fortunate today to have as our guest Dave Gulas, who hails from the Detroit area. Dave, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name just now, but thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Hey, thank you, Stuart. Yeah, you did it great. It's Gulas.
Thank you. Dave, if you've watched any of the episodes, and as our viewers, they know I generally only am interviewing people of a certain age, people who've been in business to have had experiences, and that's what we're really trying to get those stories of how people have overcome and persevered and things like that, because life is full of bumps. But is there a time back in your career when you look back that you say was a game changer that sort of put you on your path to where you are today?
Oh boy. I mean, there's been many, but I'll just say, for my whole career, I've been in sales like my entire adult life, and I discovered that pretty early on that it's something I enjoyed doing and something I was good at. So, that's taken many iterations over the years, over my probably 25-year career. But I think just recognizing that early on and really developing that tool, that gift, I guess, and just pursuing it and always using it in a variety of forms has really just paid off for me in my career and what I've been able to do. So I would just say, it's always important to find out, what you're good at, what you naturally like to do, and how you can apply those skills to the marketplace to build your income and build a career, whatever that looks like for you. So I would say, for finding that early on and really focusing on sales for me was a game changer.
When you found that out, were you doing something that you really didn't like, or were you surprised to learn that you were good at sales?
I wasn't surprised to learn. It was just, I was always into trying a bunch of different things. I worked outside the home very early on in a variety of things. And, in high school, getting a telemarketing job back in those days was something easy, where you could get a 5 to 9 shift and kind of fold it in with your regular schedule. And then, once there was commission involved and I realized you could improve your income based on your results, I just really tried to hone in on that and started as I, got into my early 20s, really focused on making that, my career and sharpening that skill and using it, as best I could.
Okay. So you found out at a fairly early age that you like sales and you're good at it. Somewhere along the line, all of us hit bumps in the road. Might be health related. It might be the company you're working for goes broke and you didn't know it, and it might be anything. Can you share a time that something didn't go as planned or as you were expecting, and how you managed to get through it?
Well, it's funny too. So, currently I'm president and co-founder of EasyDC 3PL. We're a third-party logistics company based in Kentucky, and we've been around just over 2 years. And then prior to that, I was in the pharmaceutical industry for about 20 years and had worked up to an executive level where I was, managing a sales team and had some other functions. And that is exactly what happened as the company went under. So I was at a crossroads in my career and really figuring out what I was going to do thereafter. And after that, a good friend of mine from a kind of a friendly competitor company, we got together and we're looking to start something in another vertical. And that's where we came up with the 3PL idea, because we saw many people that had, or knew several people that were in the e-commerce space that were having issues with the 3PL, to where they weren't happy with the service. They weren't getting, responses quick enough. Orders weren't going out on time. And from our experience in the pharma world, it was always a very high touch customer service environment where you're dealing with small business owners. Everything's urgent, everything's going overnight, and things go wrong all the time. So you have to really be good at solving problems and thinking on your feet and making sure things get done quickly. So we thought that brand of service would be a great fit for the 3PL world. And so when we saw all that, things came together, we started it, and here we are today.
How long have you been doing that?
Just over 2 years.
Yeah. So I hear that a lot. Something dramatic happens, and then the entrepreneur brain sort of takes over, and things go great after that. So it's not that it's a boring story, but it's a common story in successful people, is what I'm trying to say. So that's interesting. So shifting gears a little bit, you're an executive, you're president. You got to be ahead of things before your employees are. How do you tackle learning new things, whether it's keeping up with the daily news or things in your industry, and is that fun for you, or is it your personal burden, or everybody has to stay current? Tell us about how you do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Learning is always been fun for me, and I'm always learning constantly. And then particularly shifting industries. In my early 40s, I had to learn a whole bunch, and then on top of that, it's a lot harder than I thought it would be, and I had to switch the way I do things. And even with like I mentioned, my sales background, it was very much different in the pharma world, where it was traditional B2B, phone sales, calling, that type of thing, to where in the logistics world, the customers that we service, vast majority of the time, they need to be able to find you, because people don't move warehouses all that often, and timing is everything. So as I got into this, I quickly learned that I had to shift the way that I do sell and I market, and really build a personal brand and become very visible online. So people were able to find me, in addition to all the other functions of running the company, learning the industry, staying current on everything, like you mentioned. And ironically too, in the beginning, I had a lot of challenges and things were very difficult, but I found the biggest source of learning, and the best way I learned, is through conversations with other people. Whether other entrepreneurs, other founders on the same journey, to where how they overcame these challenges or solved a specific problem, or dealt with whatever adversity they were facing. And when I was going through all that, one day, the light bulb went off and said, hey, you should start a podcast, because if you could put these conversations out in a public forum, the audience could benefit, the guests would get exposure, it would help you as well. And so I started a podcast back in September of 2023, so just over a year ago. And I started it and just never stopped. And we've currently published about 97 episodes. It's been growing, very well. We're globally ranked in the top 5%. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's done a lot for our business as well. So. To answer your question, learning, you always have to be learning, growing, evolving, and the world is constantly changing. So you need to, find ways to do that, whatever that looks like for you. And that's what I did.
Yeah. So are you finding that the podcast is helping drive business to the company?
Yeah, absolutely. So not only from a lead generation standpoint, and we've got direct leads from it, and people have found us that way. But the other thing in the 3PL industry, so, the people we deal with are e-commerce brands and Shopify sellers and whatnot. So very often their inventory and their products are their livelihood. So for them to send that to you and to trust you to fulfill their orders, trust is a big issue. So they're always going to check you out. And so many of our competitors, and just to give you some context, there's about 10,000 3PLs nationwide, but so many of them operate as faceless, nameless companies, to where just having a podcast and constantly interviewing other successful people, industry leaders, and posting videos basically every day, and being out there visibly like that has done a lot for just our lead conversion, to where people see that and they say, oh, okay, so this guy's out here. He's not hard to find. If something goes wrong, I'm sure, he's not going to just disappear on me. And it's done a lot to help us just convert, the fact building a visible brand and being out there every day. And then along with all the, the Google search and, all the other benefits from having content out there.
Yeah. In a former life, I was CFO of an e-commerce company. And I remember more than a few issues with our fulfillment house, and it was just, like you said, nameless faces. There was just no one to reach out. A couple of times I thought, well, I guess I'll just drive to the warehouse and ship it myself. And it's always fourth quarter. You're trying to get stuff out for Christmas and stuff like that. So that's great. I mean, that is certainly something you wouldn't have done 10 or 15 years ago, was doing a podcast for this kind of business, but that's the world we're in today, and that's what works today. I love that. So let's pivot again. Successful people usually have investable cash outside of their main companies. What we like to learn is, what do you do with your investments? Are you stocks and bonds, or is it CDs? Is it cash in the mattress? Crypto. I've yet to interview anybody that's actually doing crypto. So maybe you're different. Tell us how you invest your personal wealth.
Yeah, so I like to keep things simple, and particularly the older I get, even more so you want to simplify things. So I like just low cost ETFs, to where I don't have to track a specific stock or be, you know what I mean? I like a broad mix, and something that I know that's consistent over time and has a low fee, that you know what I mean, I can just put it in there and not have to be so involved, because, right, I've got so much other stuff going on day to day.
Yeah. Are you picking ETFs that are following indexes, or you pick them that go with a particular industry you're high on, or
just S&P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was looking at an article the other day, is all the mutual funds and ETFs that actually beat the market last year, and it's like, there's about a dozen of them, out of the hundreds and maybe thousands of these. It's like, just invest the market, just do the S&P, and it does pretty well. So nothing crazy for you. You just stick it in the stock market. Okay. All right. Well, we're coming down to our last question. Dave, if you were mentoring someone, or if somebody just wants to follow in your footsteps, what advice would you have for them?
Oh boy. I would just say a couple things, right? Like, we're all put here to do something, right? We all have gifts and talents given to us from God that we're meant to use to help evolve and make the world a better place. So I think it's very important to discover that, early on in your journey, so you can really, be doing what you're meant to do. And right, that looks different for everybody. And there's a long, sometimes it doesn't happen right away, and you're going to have to, go through trials and journey and a lot of bumps in the road and whatnot. But I would say, find where your gifts are, and really use those as best you can. And then the other thing too is, and I see this so often, so many times, is, people, maybe they have a desire or an inclination to do something, and the most important part of that equation really is taking action, Really
Yes.
is take the action, get the feedback, get better, improve, get your reps in and all that. But I see so often people don't take the action because of this fear of what other people are going to think or what they're going, how they're going to look. And the more you can just train yourself to take action, regardless of what people think or regardless of, if it's going to work out or not, but just to believe in yourself and to act and realize you're going to make mistakes, you're going to have challenges, you're going to get feedback. But the more you can do that, you realize that action does cure fear. And oftentimes, the fear was just really your mind trying to keep you safe. But the more you can consistently train yourself to do that, you're going to grow, learn, evolve, have victories, have success, get better, find where you're meant to be, and really have a successful, rewarding, fulfilling life. Because the last thing you want to do is get to an older age and then have regrets and look back and say, wow, I wanted to do this, but I was scared and I didn't do it. Or I really could have been good at this, but I never took the action. So I would just say to follow your heart and really, and take action when you feel inclined to do so. And if you consistently do that, good things are going to happen.
That is so deep and rich. I really appreciate that, Dave. And I can certainly identify with that in my younger life. And I still have regrets now. I'm doing fine and enjoying my life, but I still think, well, I wish I'd done that, when I had the chance, if I'd taken the action. That's really good stuff. I appreciate that. And appreciate you, again, taking time today to be with us. I know presidents don't have a lot of time, and so it means a lot that you've taken some time out to share your wisdom with us. Dave, if anybody would like to reach out to you having watched this episode, how would they do that?
LinkedIn is a great way. I'm always on LinkedIn, so that's Dave Gulas. And then you can also go to davegulas.com. That has links to everything I do, as well as a contact form. So I'm very, very easy to find online.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure your LinkedIn profile link and as well as your webpage is in the show notes for anybody. So make it easy. They can just click and get in touch with you and reach out and perhaps start a conversation. Again, thanks for being here. And thank you to the audience for watching this episode of the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity podcast. I'm Stewart Heath, your host, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Stewart. Keep up the great work.
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growth, Grace, and Prosperity podcast. If you'd like to be a guest, visit growthgraceprosperity.com/guest. We'd love to hear your story.